are live on Facebook, on YouTube, Periscope, and other places. So, guys, what this is about today is about freedom through crypto. I'm a crypto enthusiast, I'm a crypto miner, and I'm a crypto investor. And I want to learn more and more about how to invest in crypto so that I can leave a legacy for my big Y, my little buddy. His name is Blake. Today, Brandon's going to jump on here. He's going to answer your questions, or we're just going to go through our little talk and give you the information to get you started. Welcome, sir, from California.
Glad to be here, Brittany.
So let's talk about crypto and how it can change a life.
Well, the first thing when you say, can crypto change my life? You have to ask the same question, can money change my life? And if money can change your life, then crypto can change your life, because crypto is just the next evolution, the next revolution of what the new financial markets is going to be like. And so if we want to be able to survive and thrive in the future, then we're going to have to be in the crypto space.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about what crypto is for those that really don't know. So you say it's the next evolution. And I have to say, I really find this interesting because I'm in a group of some of the big thought leaders. And like 10 years ago, it was like, what is the next evolution? And then poof, out came cryptocurrency. So let's talk about what it is and why is it a benefit around the world for connecting people and helping raise their life.
Great. Well, I'm gonna try to make this in simplistic terms, the same way I use it to explain it to my mother. When my mom started asking, what is this Bitcoin? And one of the things that always discouraged me, I go to blockchain expos and I listen to the experts on the stage, and they start doing all this nerd talk and scientific and technical, and it goes way over my head. I don't understand what is the cryptography and all that stuff. So I'm going to keep it basic. Let's go back to when the internet first got started. And if you remember the Today Show, they had some internet experts come on, and the guy said, what is the internet? What is email? Well, that's the same stage we are right now with cryptocurrency and the whole blockchain revolution. We are the internet 2.0. So if you have a basic understanding of what the internet is, then cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is just the next step above that. So break this down is we all know what money is. And money is we work hard for it, we go to work for it, we save it, we use it to buy goods and services. But lately, the last couple of decades, we've been moving to a cashless society where most people don't walk around with money anymore. And Bernie, I love to talk, but if I just keep going, feel free to interrupt me.
Go, baby. When you're in the flow, go.
So we've been moving to a cashless society where people now use their debit cards for everything. And what's happening with this whole crypto is the crypto is creating what's called a digital gold, a store of value. So we all know what happened in 2008. We had a financial crisis. And in that financial crisis, we had the subprime mortgage loans. We had people lost their homes. They lost their jobs. Prices of food and everything went up, inflation. George Bush came out with a famous speech where he said, everybody, everything is okay. We're going to solve this. We need to have your confidence there. Go ahead and keep shopping and keep spending money, because without your confidence, everything's going to fall apart. And then they had businesses and banks that were too big to fail. The same individuals and entities that caused the economic collapse, the government bailed them out with our taxpayer money. But none of us got bailed out. None of us got bailed out. We paid for it. In fact, I know a lot of people that still haven't recovered till this day. But that was a wake-up call to people to say, you know what, maybe the government is not going to be able to look out for our best interest. There's got to be a way we can have control of our own money. And so cryptocurrency started the very next year, written by a white paper by a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't know who that is. He could be a guy, it could be a woman, it could be a group. We have no idea. But they created this white paper, which is simply a code. and a roadmap for what this technology is, and he put it on the internet, open source, which meant it's not controlled by a government, it's not controlled by a bank. Now, the whole math behind it is, I'm going to equate this to gold. Gold has value because it's always had value since the beginning of time, and it maintains its value because it's scarce. So you remember the gold rush? Well, we were never alive back then, but 1800s or so. People moved out west. They bought picks and shovels, and they dug in the ground for gold. And the more gold you had, then the more wealth you had because it was real money, tangible asset. Well, the US dollar used to be backed by gold for 40, 50 years until 1971. And it was taken off the gold standard. Now, when that happened, that was the beginning of the end of our way of life with money. Inflation took place. $20 today does not get you what $20 20 years ago or 40 years ago did. In fact, the dollar is only worth 5% of what it was 100 years ago. So we're seeing our wealth continuously depreciate, and people are always looking for more ways of maintaining our wealth and holding our assets. So people will buy real estate, they will buy gold and silver, they will get art, they will invest in companies. The wealthy don't have their money in savings accounts. Well, what cryptocurrencies is doing is saying, hey, listen, we're going to create a new form of money, a new form of transactions that's going to solve the world's biggest problem. And that problem is called trust. We don't trust the bankers. We don't trust the government. We don't trust CEOs of corporations. We trusted them. We put our money in 401ks, and now there's no more 401k. There's no more savings. Social Security is a joke. People are retiring broke. So there's got to be a better way. And this system of Bitcoin was designed to be a better way. Now, to understand what Bitcoin is, you got to understand the technology that's building it, which is called the blockchain. So all the blockchain is, and again, if I start going over the place, stop me.
Nope, you're doing great. I'm following you. I understand.
So all the blockchain is what we call the third ledger. What does that mean? Well, right now, since the Middle Ages, the world has operated on a two-ledger system, which means if you want to do a transaction with somebody else, you're given a receipt. And that receipt is a copy of your transaction. If you lose the receipt, there's no proof that the transaction took place. The banking system of today is built on the two-ledger system. When you get paid and the direct deposit goes into your bank account, you're given a receipt. Whenever you pay your bill or you go to the grocery store, receipts are passed around. Whenever there's a dispute, then you got to bring in the courts, you got to bring in lawyers, you got to bring in third parties. When you want to move money from one place to another, you need to use the system, the bank, the wire. So that third party has created a lot of extra infrastructure that costs money, and it slows things down. It takes longer for things to take place. And sometimes paperwork gets lost. We're humans. Sometimes there's manipulation. Sometimes there's fraud. And we know that whenever you've got money involved, that somebody's going to manipulate the system.
Right.
Well, what the blockchain says, what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of the internet, and we're going to create this new ledger where whenever a transaction is made between one, two, or more individuals, it is going to be recorded on this blockchain, and the blockchain is recorded on every single computer on the world. Now, you don't have any dispute because it can't be manipulated. To manipulate it, you'd have to hack the entire internet, which is impossible to do. You'd have to change the records of every single computer connected to the internet, which is impossible to do. And if you make it in such a way that there's no government that controls it, there's no bank that controls it, there's no CEO that controls it, it's there, it's public knowledge. Now you have a foolproof, 100% verifiable system. That's the blockchain that's verified all around the world. Now, how the blockchain is built by, I call these the nerds that have these powerful computers. And the computers is doing what's called mining. It's just a layman's term of them completing a mathematical equation to create a block that is storing data. And once that block is created and confirmed, it goes into every single network and the data is restored on it. Well, if you're going to have these nerds with powerful computers do this, what is their incentive for doing it? Why would somebody take their time, their energy, their effort, and the energy it costs to run these powerful machines? Well, you got to pay them some kind of way. Well, the reward for building the blockchain is what we call Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the reward. Now, the question is, what does Bitcoin have value? What is the value of it? Why is it cost something? Why is it worth something? Well, it's classic supply and demand. Like gold, Bitcoin is finite. There's only going to be 21 million ever in existence. So we have more millionaires and billionaires on the planet today than there are Bitcoin. If the day comes where every single one of them wants to own one whole Bitcoin, there's not enough to go around, which means if you have a Bitcoin, it's become more valuable and the value of it goes up. So people are using Bitcoin as a store of value, just like digital gold. Now, if you want complete financial freedom, then if you have your wealth tied in an asset that is incorruptible, then Bitcoin is freedom. Now, I'll say this and then I'll get back to see if there's any questions. This past week, we've seen on the news, country after country around the world is going through an economic crisis. And what the citizens have figured out is before inflation hits our money, and what happened in Venezuela, their value dropped by 1,000,000% in 1 year. They're saying, okay, we need to take our money out and put it into an asset to store our wealth before the money value drops. And they're trying to put it into Bitcoin. So countries like Chile and Argentina and Lebanon, the governments are trying to block people's access to getting their money out of the bank to buy Bitcoin. And this is a trend that we're seeing going around the world. So Bitcoin is freedom. And I hashtag that.
And you know, that's also true in these countries that can't get a Visa card, can't get a PayPal account, they can't get a bank account, but they can somehow get a smartphone, right? I mean, I find it amazing as they might be eating a seaweed sandwich, but they got a smartphone in China. It's like times have changed. One of the things I think is great is there's no issue. If you're a coach or anyone who works around the world is like, okay, is that the UK? What's the price of that? Trying to coach or sell around the world, this takes all that away.
Well, yeah, just to expand on that, there's an industry called Forex, the foreign exchange. And there's people that make a living off of trading on one currency to another. And if you're going to take a trip, like my wife and I, we take trips to London and Paris, then we have to do a currency conversion exchange if we want to have cash. And that could be a whole pain in access to go through as well. If you're in Japan and you want to send money to a relative in San Francisco, then you got to deal with Western Union or the banks, and they charge high excessive fees. If you're in Africa, you're in Nigeria, for example, you're trying to send money in or out every other month, depending on who's in charge. They change the rules and the laws on you. So now you got to become a law expert just to make sure you're not breaking the law because you want to send money to a family member. So what this does is putting it on the blockchain. The blockchain is accessible to everybody around the world simultaneously. So if you're going to send Bitcoin from Japan to the United States, it happens instantaneous. The fee is very minimum, and there's no middleman there that you have to go through. And you don't need anybody's permission. That's one other thing this does. This brings a permissionless virtual economy. I don't need to get my bank. How many times have you ever had this issue if you go into a bank and you want to pull out money and they say, so what are you doing using this for?
Me, and I live in a small town. Do you think that they're going to let me wire some money to buy a weed plant in Switzerland? They're not. But guess what? It's my money. I want to do it. So that's where I've seen a huge difference is they're not in control of my money, or you can only spend so much, or you can only take so much out at a time. It's like, no. So I got a question because, I'm going to London. So now when you go to London, what are you using? How do you use, like, if you want to go, here we have Caribou or Starbucks, that kind of place. Let's talk about how it's mainstream now and you can actually use the crypto to travel.
Yes, you can. There's international laws meaning that you're not allowed to travel from country to country with more than $10,000 cash. Now, each country has their own laws and regulations, and it's in flux. It's always changing. So one thing you want to be able to do is get your hands on a Visa or MasterCard that's tied to crypto. For example, BitPay. So what happens if you have a BitPay card, you actually can have your crypto on your card, and when you use it, it's a Visa. At point of sale, it's automatically converted into whatever local currency of the country that you're in. So the store, Starbucks, or McDonald's, wherever you go, they're not getting Bitcoin. They're getting the cash, but you're using your BitPay card, which is your crypto. So that's the best way that you're able to spend it right now without converting it into physical cash.
Can you use the BitPay app without having the BitPay card?
Well, yes, if you have what's called a QR code. So
Okay.
some stores have like a scanner, like on my Subway in my city that I go to, you can either put in your debit card or you can scan a QR code on your phone if you have your card attached to your phone app. So that way you can make payments. You know, this is biggest being used in China right now and Japan. They don't carry cash, period. They just have their phone. They take their phone everywhere they go. So when they goes to make a payment, they just swipe the phone and it's attached to their bank account and they keep it moving. So yeah, that's possible as well.
I was just wondering because I do have the BitPay on my phone, the app, but I don't have the card and I'm traveling and it's like, 3 weeks, who knows if you get it or not. But I was just going, why didn't I get that ahead of time? I'm traveling. But like that, you're traveling and a month flew by and it's like, oops. So I love that part about the no exchange problems because I do deal with people around the world. And also that this is a problem if you're a coach, or at least, is that 2 months later or 2 years later, somebody can say, if they put it on a credit card, oh, I didn't get, my coaching like I should have. Send a video in with them saying way beyond, don't matter. Credit card companies don't care. Poof, you owe that money taken out of your account. What? So that was the number one thing I like is I can work with everybody around the world and it's not, how much is that Great Britain thing, pound thing going for rubles? What? We can't even get time zones straight. So exchanging was a huge problem. Okay, so we of course suggest everybody get into crypto. Do you suggest everyone gets into Bitcoin, buys Bitcoin first so they have some? Or would you suggest they start off in something that's more affordable?
Well, there's two things I will say about that. If you make the decision that you want to get into the cryptocurrency space, the first thing you need to do is get yourself educated. Invest if you're going to spend any money, invest in a program that is going to teach you the basics about crypto, what it is, the history, how to get involved. This way, you can minimize your risk because getting involved in crypto, you are at risk of losing all of or some of your money if you don't know what you're doing. Same way with real money. You don't have financial literacy. What happens to lottery winners? What happens to professional sports players? They're broke after 5 years. They didn't know what to do. So, same concept. This is a brand new space, a brand new industry. Take the time to get educated. The
How?
second thing,
How do you get
well,
educated on crypto?
there's two ways to do this. You can do it the old-fashioned way, the way I did it, which was there was nothing out there. I had to go to YouTube and Google. And I went to YouTube and Google and millions of things popped up. It took me 6 months to figure it out. I didn't even know what questions to ask. I even got some things wrong that cost me a lot of money. So now there are education platforms that are available, like Coinbit Pro, for example, that's here to teach you how to get intro into cryptocurrency space, the basics of it. And then the second thing it's going to do is teach you how to trade cryptocurrency. So that's the first step I would do. The second thing that I would do, and I'm just going to give this away for free. The second step, because anybody can do this, is make it a goal to own at least one whole Bitcoin. There's thousands of other coins on the market. There's the top 10 coins everybody hears about: Ethereum, Litecoin, EOS, Neo, Cardano, Stellar. Don't worry about those other coins. Just Bitcoin. If you can own just one whole Bitcoin
You should.
and set it aside,
It's
what
at.
happened?
It was at
It went up
92. It was at
95 cents.
93. While we were on the call, it went from 92 to 95. Get some Bitcoin.
Went up $300 just like that.
Yeah. Oh, good. We might be talking about
Now,
that in our training Thursday, right?
that's right. Well, here we have people that they think they have to buy a whole Bitcoin up front, and they say, I can't afford it. I don't have $9,500. Well, you don't have to. You can buy a piece of a Bitcoin. So I say set yourself up with a budget, whether it's $50 a week, 500 a month, 2,000 a month, whatever it is, and don't worry about what the price of it is today. Just keep buying until you have one whole Bitcoin, and then you stash it aside, and you sit on it for the next 3 to 5 years and never touch it. You'll thank me for that later on.
I just started at $50 because I didn't have the education and I was so dang afraid of what was going on and transferring the money from my bank into this wallet thing. So I know what it's like to try and figure it out on my own, and it wasn't fun. And then when I took the education, I'm like, well, okay, stop, go create a wallet. Okay. I mean, I'm a person who likes a checklist, especially when it comes to my money. Making sure I'm doing the right thing with my money. So I started at 50, and then it took me a couple weeks, and it was like, okay, I'll do $100 a week and just keep that going. And then of course, a lot of programs you can sell in Bitcoin. You know, your people pay you in Bitcoin, and then mining, you're paid in Bitcoin. So I don't have a mining machine plugged in here. I'm with a company that does it all because I don't want to do it. I like Bitcoin. I like the education, but I don't want to hear, uh-oh, it broke. Now what? You know, no, thank you.
Right.
Okay, so let's tell them a little bit. You mentioned Coinbit Pro. That's where I found you and said, you've got to get on this call because everything is energy. Bitcoin is definitely energy. My podcast is about helping people around the world have freedom and be able to leave a legacy, because that's what we're all about. Helping people, leaving a legacy, being happy, being able to travel. I feel that crypto is one of those things that can do it. So let's talk about how they can get this education and what you actually do. Like, how did you learn to trade? Did you do it all on your own? Because you're very knowledgeable and present things well. You probably were just nonstop trading for months. It's like, where do you
trial and error. Trial and error. See, one thing, I had a different career before I came into crypto. I was very big in direct selling in the network marketing industry, and I was privileged enough to be able to do that full time. I retired when I turned 36 years old to work full time from home, but I also got tired and burnt out, and said, "Wow, you know, if I were to take a vacation or take some time off, my income's going to stop." And I wanted to be in a situation where money was continuing to make money for me.
Right.
And so 2.5 years ago, I saw the industry of cryptocurrency where there were people making a lot of money and they weren't actually building any business. They were just investing in the space and they were trading with it. So I said, okay, I need to learn this stuff. And I just taught myself. There were a couple programs out there that had some basic education, and I kind of pieced it together. And then I did it through trial and error. And when I first got started, I started with $30 when I started to begin with the trade. And I knew that this was a skill set that I had to learn. And so once you get the education, nobody can take it from you.
I was so excited. I went and traded while you were on the call when we were looking, and you're like, look, look. And I'm like, oh, I'm a go-getter though. And it's like, I had been waiting for so long for somebody to explain anything to me, because I like the charts. I'm like, oh, those are pretty. Look at the colors going up and down. Chase a butterfly, you know, and you're explaining it to me. And then I'm like this. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to go do it. $50. There we go. Boom. So that was really fun for me. And I look forward, like, it goes on my calendar on Thursdays at 2, right?
Thursdays at 2, 11 a.m. my time. That's right.
There you go. 2 Central.
And we just got started, by the way. So one of the things that we teach is, number one, how to read the charts. So when I looked at it, the charts for the first time, it looked like Greek to me. Like looking at the stock market ticker symbol, I didn't know what those symbols meant. And so after I started to learn, Now, when I look at the chart, it's telling me a story, like reading a book. And I'm
Yeah.
able to look at certain things and I know exactly what's going on. So we cover how to read the charts. We cover certain strategies. What type of a trader do you want to be? Do you want to be a day-to-day trader? Do you want to be a micro trader? Do you want to be a trader that only does 2 or 3 trades a month, 2 or 3 trades a week, 2 or 3 trades a day? And none of these is wrong. It's just what fits your style
Right.
and how much time you have. So if you've got all day to look at the charts, you can do that. If you're working and you've got kids at home and to take care of, and you've got a busy schedule, you can still trade and be active at it on your own time. And so we just teach and go over those basic strategies: buy the dip, buy the squeeze, follow the wells. And the biggest thing of what we offer is that weekly live training to show, all right, this is what happened in the market this week. If you did this and this is where you would have made money. This is where you would have lost money. And that is important so that going into the future, you're looking at the chart and you know what to do.
Yeah, I like you can ask questions too. That it's live. But what's cool about it, like you said, I go back and watch the videos from before and you're going to learn something anyway. Even if that time has changed, it's really great information. So we followed influencers last week. That was really fun. I think the week before was buy in the dip, which we should all have t-shirts and coffee mugs. I should write a rap or something. Is like, hello, buy at the dip. What do they have to look forward to? So we mentioned a couple things we've talked about on the live calls. What are we going to talk about this week and maybe next week?
Well, this week we're going to cover again the markets. Like you just saw, it went up $300 in less than 5 minutes. So we're going to cover the trends that happened this week, and then we're going to focus on how to use stable coins the right way. Because people don't understand the difference between a digital coin, a crypto coin, a token, a coin, or what a stable coin is, being backed by a real asset, whether it's a US dollar, euro, or gold. So we're going to talk about how to use the tether strategy to make a lot of money without actually ever selling your Bitcoin.
That's
So that's going to be the
awesome.
topic this week.
Who looks forward to live calls? I do. I do. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I like to keep it simple. We're right on time here. I'm just going to say I hope to have you on the podcast again. Guys, if you have any questions, hashtag them down below, live and replay. But you can message either one of us, and we'd love to get you started in this program because it's all positive people. What a fantastic group of entrepreneurs. They're going places. I love because everybody's mindset is in the right place and their heart's in the right place. And so we have knowledgeable people like you that I super appreciate. So, guys, this is Brenny Larson with a World of Energy podcast. We are changing the world one podcast at a time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.